Hey everybody, it is I, Hope Giselle, and I'm coming at you all with another video because today I have thoughts, okay? And I have thoughts on comedy, okay? I got thoughts on comedy and specifically Sommore and Chris Rock, okay? I have been getting tagged. I've gotten a lot of different, messages and things of that nature about the way that Chris Rock, talked about Will and Jada and his take on the whole transgenderism thing. I got a bunch of different people who tagged me about the ways in which Sommore came up with her thought processes and things. And I just want to be able to give y'all my thoughts about it all. And I think I'm gonna start with one of the original queens of comedy, Sommore. Now, I have to preface this by just saying that I think that Sommore is an icon in comedy. And to be perfectly honest with you, I want to say, and I know like this is a very unpopular opinion, but I want to say that she was robbed of the career that I think that I believe that she should have had a sitcom. I think that some more could have been Monique level, sort of famous. I think that some more should have been able to do way more than like soul playing and a couple of other like little random gigs that she did throughout her career. However, I do think that Sommore's comedy is for a very specific type of audience. And I think that that is the reason why we didn't see Sommore succeed a lot more, because the type of folks that resonate with her comedy are folks that only understand colloquials, right? We are folks that are blackety black, black, black to our soul. We understand black folks. We understand the way that black folks think. We understand a lot of different nuances around it. And so therefore, we think that certain things are funny that she does because we are black, right? Whether it be black women or black people, we just get it differently because Sommore is one of us. And I believe that while you have Lunel and you have Monique and stuff like that. And I know that some of y'all are gonna say, so Lunel doesn't or Monique doesn't. And it's not to say that they don't, but I think that there is another way that it's packaged and that it's marketed so that everybody can kind of sort of have a laugh at the expense of black people without feeling like it's a problem. I think that when Lunel and Monique say things that are funny to black people, they don't say them in a way that makes you feel like if you white and you laugh, your ass is grass. You know what I'm saying? And so there's that. And I just want to preface it with all of those things. And without further ado, I want to say that before I jump into shit, I watched the entire special. Before I jumped into the Dave Chappelle thing, I watched the entire special. I watched it more than once. You know what I'm saying? And with Sommore, I did the same thing. I watched Sommore's special without even knowing. So by the time people were tagging me, I had already seen the special for myself, and I was just stewing on how I felt about it. And so I went into this special completely blind, didn't know she was gonna talk about anything. And to be quite honest with you, I thought that the special was funny. A lot of the Netflix specials, the comedy specials, just have not been hitting lately. They haven't been funny. Some of the folks that they've been bringing on just have not been bringing their A game. And, I'll attribute it to the fact that folks are rusty. It's been, the pandemic. A lot of the comics have just kind of sort of been spoon-fed into like D-list projects to, make a couple of dollars here and there, or just not really actively going in and like thinking of jokes, you know what I'm saying? Because it's been, chill. We've all been kind of sort of like in our own little bag, public speaking bags, product bags, all of the bags outside of the comedy bag, And so I'm gonna attribute it to that, which is why we're seeing a bunch of flop-ass comedy specials, to be perfectly honest with you. And I love some more special up until we got to the part about Zaya. Now here's my thing. What I didn't like was that Sommore went out of her way to once again misgender Zaya and also, go out of her way to just be rude about a situation that both Dwayne, Gabby, everybody has made clear that this is my daughter and I'm gonna respect her as such. And so even if you disagree, the fact that this is my child, right? If you respect me as a human being, if you respect me as a black man, if you respect us as a black family, then it shouldn't cost you anything to just respect the fact that this is my daughter. But also, even if we go outside of that, Zaya is 15 years old. She's still a child to many of the people that are talking shit about her. She's an innocent. She's done nothing to any of the people that have so much to say. Now, while I will say it's not like Sommore went on this long, drawn out rant, what I do think that Sommore wanted to do was to speak her piece without speaking her piece. And that shit almost pisses me off more than a Dave Chappelle direct attack. Because what we don't see and what we don't get and what we're not getting into is that everybody wants to be able to say, like, here's my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? But nobody wants to be called transphobic or problematic for being able to spew out those disgusting and oftentimes nasty and degradative thoughts. Nobody wants to come out and stand 10 toes down in the fact that if I'm going to say this, that is indeed transphobia. And so therefore, in this moment, I'm being transphobic. Regardless of how many trans friends you got, regardless of how many of the boys or the girls do your hair and your makeup, at the end of the day, doing what you did is transphobic. And people like transphobia light, right? People want to go into the app store and purchase transphobia light and then bitch about the idea that somebody is going to call them transphobic for engaging in that, that rhetoric or in certain, talks and speeches and different things. And it's just like, you want to behave as such, but then you don't want me to call you the thing that you're behaving like. And if if memory serves me well, especially in the black community, if it walk like a duck, talk like a duck, quack like a duck, it's a what? It's a duck, right? And so if it's walking like transphobia, talking like transphobia, saying the things that transphobic people say, girl, it's giving transphobia. And also it was unnecessary. The special was doing really great without mention of this topic. The special was doing really well without you bringing it up, talking about it, dredging it up. You didn't need it for shock value. The special was going to do what the special had did regardless. So the idea of you bringing this up felt like it was a personal thing that you just wanted people to know, just as it pertained to all of the stuff. And it's also giving clickbait hot button topic issue. What has been done by Dave Chappelle, and this is exactly why a lot of the folks that were pissed off with trans people, and especially black trans people, this is what we were talking about. Because what Dave Chappelle did was open up a gateway that made other people feel safe to come in and do this. And now they're doing it at the expense of a 15-year-old child. And that's a problem. You see, the thing about this is that a lot of y'all don't have an issue saying, oh, leave kids out of it. When you bring kids into it, it's too far. It's the kids, it's the kids, it's the kid. And I don't want to hear that celebrity bullshit either. Because when people were picking on Blue Ivy's hair and saying that they need to brush that baby's hair, I saw plenty of people in the comments coming to the defense of this child, and they were like, oh my God, she's a child. Like, regardless of how y'all feel about it, this is somebody's child. She's a baby. Let it go. When it comes to Zaya, I don't see that. I don't see the protection of Zaya's childhood. I don't see the protection of Zaya as an adolescent. I don't even see it. There's no empathy. There's no sympathy. There's no give a fuck. There's no anything when it comes down to this child. I don't care how you feel about the issues as a general topic, but when it comes down to it, y'all can't leave well enough alone when it comes down to Dwayne's child. Y'all can't leave well enough alone when it comes down to talking specifically about this young woman. And the saddest part about it is that it's always black people. It's other black people tearing down another little black person because you feel some type of way about the fact that she's being affirmed by her family. And that shit is lame. It is not funny. It's not a joke. It's not okay. It's not your commentary as it pertains to you being a comedian is not cool. And I want to take y'all back to something that didn't go viral like I think that it should have. But I remember when the Dave Chappelle special came out. And one of the clips that should have gone viral that did not go viral, and I'm wondering why folks didn't push that as much, is Cat Williams. He did an interview, and I can't remember where it was, and if I can find it, I'll insert the clip somewhere in here. But he did an interview where he specifically talked about the idea of not being able to call yourself a real comedian if the only way that you can be funny is by pulling low punches that people who can't think right, or people who don't want to think are gonna find funny. In short, basically, going after the fart jokes doesn't make you the king of comedy. Going after the people that are low-hanging fruit, the people that are low thinkers, the people who don't need, a lot to be stimulated, the person that will snicker at a baby like sneezing with snot coming out, that is not a person that makes you a comedian. A comedian will walk in a room and see a motherfucking plant and be able to make an entire set off of this plant because that's what I do. I'm funny. And the idea that, like I told y'all, Sommore's special was not suffering without these jokes. It was funny. It was entertaining. It was a storytelling event like they usually are. And for some reason, she went out of her way to go and talk about this topic, but not only to do that, but then to throw a child under the bus for the sake of laughs and clicks and giggles, and then also clickbait. And the funniest thing about it is that I haven't seen much about her special outside of the fact that she said that the city girls were nothing more than like Mary Mary or Salt and Pepper. You know what I'm saying? Without no clothes on. So you did all of that and you said this problematic statement that might get you canceled in certain spaces, and people paid it dust any motherfucking way. And it honestly added nothing to the special. After that joke, there was no other jokes about government. There was no other jokes about queer people. There were no other jokes about, folks on the spectrum. It was just that one joke about somebody's child, and you did it because you thought you were gonna get pressed. And bitch, unlike Cardi, it was definitely giving press. Bitch, you were so pressed. Space bar ass bitch pressed. Like, I don't understand how you can be so pressed about someone else's black child as a black person in America in a time where we got so many other things to focus on. There's so much to laugh about. There's so much to be happy about. And the idea that you went out of your way to misgender somebody else's baby for the sake of a laugh just does not sit well with me. And so it's giving fuck that bitch. It's giving fuck that bitch because you told me how you felt. And I believed it. I'm starting to come to a space in my life where you're not going to spit in my face and call it rain and think that I'm gonna be okay with it. You're not gonna slap me in the face and say that you tickled me and I'm gonna be okay with it. And that's what a lot of these folks wanna do. They wanna show us who they are and then turn around and say, but my friend, but my makeup artist, but my stylist. I don't give a fuck who on your team is a part of the community and is okay with it. The vast majority of us do not think that we need to be the butt of a crass joke, right, in order for you to be funny. I don't mind a joke at the expense of transgender people. I don't mind a good joke about a bitch with wide shoulders. I have wide shoulders. That would make me laugh. It's a part of my reality. I don't mind a good joke about a bitch with a bad wig. I've seen plenty of the girls with bad wigs. I don't mind a good joke about a bitch with big feet and her feet ain't done. I don't mind a good joke about a bitch palming a basketball. But the idea of talking about somebody's humanity when we have literally 300 pieces of legislation that are anti-trans, and we have somebody who wants to run for president that says that they want to do away with transgenderism as a whole, this can't be life right now. This can't be what we're spending our time trying to or to entertain ourselves with. This can't be the thing that we fall back on, which is every time we want to laugh, every time we want to forget about the idea that we're black, we pick on transgender people. And not even transgender people from somewhere else. We pick on the people in our own house. You don't even have the decency to go outside and find somebody else. You do that shit right in your living room. You tell your grandbaby to come downstairs and you make fun of them, and that makes no sense to me. And it never will. It never will. So Sommore, while I think that the special was an 8 out of 10, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10 for that lame ass section of joke that wasn't even necessary, because not only was it transphobic as fuck, but on top of that, it was unnecessary. And lastly, it was about a child. I have very little tolerance when it comes down to grown people bullying children or picking on children or saying what they want to say. And some of you all might say that it's not bullying. Some of you all might say that she just made her opinion. But at the end of the day, ask yourself this if you're a parent. Does anybody on God's green motherfucking earth has any room to say anything or give an opinion about your child? Does anybody on God's green earth have the right to say anything about your child, gay, straight, or indifferent? Children are off limits, and I think that we've forgotten that. And that's the only thing that like really irks me with this is that everybody is trying to use this as their moment and as their come up. They're using transgenderism and the topic of transgenderism as a way to get their name in the media. And that to me just shows also how obsessed people are with something that they claim that they don't like, with something that they claim that they want to go away. If you want the pandemonium around transgenderism to go away, stop talking about it. If you want them to stop casting the girls, stop talking about the girls. Stop being mad when they're in things. Because the same way that y'all get views and clicks and likes for talking negatively is the same reason why the girls get parts and castings and bookings, because people want to be able to create a buzz for you to continue to talk about. It is a toxic cycle that is built for you to fall into the trap that says that you are too ignorant to avoid it. And a lot of the time, a lot of these celebrities, and especially these comedians, fall right into it. Now, Chris Rock. I'm gonna just say this, and I'm gonna be 110% honest with this one. Chris has never been a good comedian to me, at least not stand up. I think that Chris is funny in film. I think that he's funny when he can write some shit down and like do it a couple of times. But I don't think that Chris is funny just standing on a stage. He gives very much so slapstick, Uncle Ruckus. Like, he does not give me like Cat Williams. He doesn't give me Kevin Hart, right? Like, you know, he doesn't give me Martin Lawrence. He doesn't give me like any of the greats for real, to the point where I think that he should even be the person that he is in comedy right now. I think that if anything, he's given me C-list at best as far as the stand-up goes, because he just does not command a stage and make you want to listen to him. Quite frankly, out of the entire, you know, portion of the conversation, the only thing that I found funny and the only thing that I really like gave a real good laugh at was when he, you know, talked about the fact that all of us have probably been cheated on, but none of us have been, you know, interviewed by the person that cheated on us. Like, you know, that whole bit that he did about, you know, the person who cheated on you was sitting there like, so I sucked somebody else's dick. How did that make you feel? Like, that part was hilarious to me, but I think that the rest of the show bombed. I think that it was a try hard moment. I think that the audience, I really want to know how much they were getting paid to laugh as hard as they were, because I fell asleep. I had to wake up and rewind it because the delivery of the jokes was just not there. The storytelling element was just not there. He was pacing around. He was clearly high as fuck. The fact of the matter was he wore white, which made his teeth and his eyes look yellow and brown. It just was not a good look. The entire thing was not a good look. He was clearly high as fuck, high as a kite, and just kind of sort of like going through the motions of whatever the fuck was on his comedic notes of things to hit, which were gonna get him to the end. Now, what I will say is that he also had a section where he spoke about transgender folks, and I think that this was a good way. Even though the jokes were bad, I feel like I understood where he was going, and those were jokes that I think that I could get behind if they had landed well, but they didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, these weren't jokes that really landed well. They were just kind of like dry. They had the potential to be funny, but they weren't. Like, you know, and so it's one of those things where it goes to show you that there are jokes that can be made about transgender people that transgender folks don't get upset about, but also you got to land them, right? Like, they can't just be like base level, you know, kindergartner ass jokes. They have to really have some substance and hold some weight in order for people to give a fuck about them. But overall, the entire special was just lame. And I will say that once again, black women being the butt of the joke at the end of the day, while also people are sitting back and saying protect black women, doesn't sit well with me either. I don't give a fuck how you feel about Will and Jada's situation. At the end of the day, Will is a grown-ass man and he is able to decide for himself what he thinks love is, what he thinks that looks like for him, and how he wants that to show up for him. I don't think that we as the public get to tell him who's doing him dirty and who's doing him wrong, especially in the space where you have two megastars and you really don't know what the fuck be going on in their house. None of us can really talk and speak for them and say who's making who look like a fool, because we don't know what the fuck Will is doing. For all we know, Will is a menace. You know what I'm saying? Like, for all we know, Will could be a menace. He could be out here long dicking bitches in Hollywood, 90 going north, and we out here feeling bad for him because Jada just got caught. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know. know. And I think that there's a reason why he's still with her. And so like the idea that people are continuously talking about how Will looks like a fool and how, you know, she's doing him worse than anybody could have ever done him, I think that that's off the table because nobody knows what the fuck is really going on in that relationship except them. I don't give a fuck how many interviews people do or whatever the fuck people got going on. I know bitches that will post on Instagram that they're in Dubai and whole time they in fucking Jersey in their mama's penthouse somewhere, you know, with the goddamn Persian rug taped to the wall. So we have to be very mindful about the things that people put out there and what they want us to hear and what they want us to see and what they want us to think, because we know that in media, and especially social media, that is exactly what folks do. They feed you the best parts, they feed you the parts they want you to know, but they don't necessarily tell you all of their business, right? So we have to be very mindful about that. Then on top of that, the ending section where he went off on this long ass tangent about bitches, right? Like, and this whole thing about Charlamagne called you a bitch, this person called you a bitch, that person called you a bitch, but you know, you sat back and you picked on the littlest guy. That sympathy bullshit, I'm not here for it. Don't give me that Will Smith is so much bigger than me and so I shouldn't have gotten the shit smacked out of me. Fuck you. You spoke about my wife directly. Those other people might have called me a bitch, but those people did not talk about my wife in a way that made my wife feel some type of way, and especially when I had access to you. But also, this goes back to that good old saying that you never know what the fuck people are going through. You don't know what calls Will got before the Oscars. You already know that Will has felt some type of way about the Oscars and that ceremony because of the way that he was treated. Then on top of that, the fact of the matter is, I feel like Chris Rock is on some hoe-ass bullshit because you've been holding on to this grudge, and that's why you said the shit that you said about Jada, because you were holding on to this fucking grudge from way back when she did some fuck shit like way back when, and then when she asked you, or when her and Will asked everybody, you know, to boycott the Oscars and all of that bullshit, like, you're holding on to some fuck shit. Her asking you not to do the Oscars does not equate to you making fun of her alopecia or talking about the G.I. Jane. Like, that's not the same shit. They had a valid reason, even though it's still bullshit. And I'm going to call y'all out on that too. Okay, Will and Jada, that was bullshit because y'all motherfuckers still showed up. But okay. But they had a valid reason for wanting to petition the Oscars, and your answer was either yes or no. All of that extra shit was uncalled for and quite frankly unnecessary. And it just shows me just how bitch and hoe ass made you are. Then the fact that you've been stewing on this for over a year, right? And you decided that if I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna say this in the confines of, you know, this special, and I'm gonna make a couple of dollars off of it, I'm gonna do all of the things. And this time you were extra disrespectful. That bitch, like, what, like, why do you need to go there and, you know, really like do this to this black woman? Why does she have to be all of these things? And especially considering that you didn't say that she's even said anything. And I also wanted to be noted that Will slapped you. Jada didn't slap you. So why is it that bitch? Why is all the energy towards her? Why do you still have all of this energy and this animosity towards her? And is it because you have a little man's complex? Do you feel like you just want to attack somebody that's more your size? Like, what is it really, what is it really giving? I don't like the idea of this gaslighting section where he's like, I love Will Smith. I love Will Smith. If you love somebody, 9 times out of 10, that usually comes with respect. And you can love this man, but you obviously don't respect him because you don't respect his wife, you don't respect his union, you don't respect his marriage, you don't respect him. And that's why your ass got slapped the fuck down. And if Will came back and sucker punched him in the motherfucking face at the next motherfucking Oscar showing, I wouldn't even think twice about it. I think that he should walk around now, if he wasn't before, with permanent security, because if Will runs up on you, wherever the fuck he finds you, and snatches your little ass up and throws you in the garbage can, I'm not going to feel upset about it, because there are certain things that you just don't do. And you don't talk about a man's wife. You do not talk about a man's wife. You do not talk about a man's wife. I don't give a fuck how she dogging him out. You can't talk about it. We all got those people in our lives where I can talk about my sister. You can't. I can say my brother's a man whore. You can't. I can say that my wife is really doing me dirty and I don't like this bullshit. She on some hoe ass shit right now. You can't. And I think that we all know that. We all understand the game and we all respect the game. Chris, you're not respecting the game. You didn't respect the game. You wanted your 15 minutes of fame. And to be quite honest, when you realized that the reaction that you were getting from the crowd was what it was, you rode on it. You felt the thing that you were wanting to feel the entire special. You had no other buzz. Nobody got up on their feet the entire performance. People were fake laughing, but it was bullshit. You had folks in the front row just looking up at you like, all right, I guess I'll smile because we on camera for Netflix, but I'm not really smiling because these jokes are funny. Like, there was a bunch of nuance, and I understood that once you started to mention Will Smith's name, you were riding off of the fact that for the entire special, you hadn't gotten that natural reaction from people. And here it is, the second that you say his name, you're getting a natural reaction from people because that is what they came here for. And that should also tell you something. Folks didn't come here to see your comedy. They didn't come here to see what you had going on. They didn't come here to check on you after all of these years of you not doing a stand-up comedy act. They came here to hear what you had to say about the slap heard around the world, and that was it. And you waited until the end of the show to give it to him because you knew you had nothing else. Had you started the show with that, you wouldn't have been able to sustain for the next 45 minutes. And so you put it at the end because you wanted to seem like you went out with a bang, and you didn't. All you did was make yourself seem smaller and more little and more bitch-made than you ever were made before. I don't give a fuck how big Will Smith is. I don't give a fuck how small you allegedly are trying to make yourself at this point. With all of that motherfucking mouth, like they say in the hood, bitch, if you can say it, you better be able to back it the fuck up. Because I'm not coming to save you when the big sister comes from around the corner because you thought the little sister was by herself. I'm not coming to save you when you realize when this man stands up out of this chair, he is 6'7". I'm not coming to save you when you realize that her mama is not who you thought it was, and now you got to fight Big Bertha and not Skinny Megan. I'm not doing that because you should have kept your fucking mouth closed. You should have kept his wife's name out your motherfucking mouth. And so all of the sympathy pity party bullshit that he was trying to do, I'm not here for it. I'm not here for the way that he still continued to speak about Jada. I'm not here for the way that he sat with this and simmered on this and did all of the things that people are like, oh, I'm so happy because he didn't do no interviews. He capitalized. He capitalized once again off of the back of a black woman that he spent his time insulting. And black women are out here clapping this shit up. And black men are out here, some of them still being the weakest link. Once again, some of them being the main word. Some of them, not all black men, but some of y'all were the weakest link on this one because once again, y'all bitter, broke-ass, bum-ass niggas who don't even have a wife are sitting back and talking about Will Smith's wife and the way that she did him. He got one. Half of you motherfuckers are still living with your grandma. He got one. Half of you motherfuckers, baby mama won't even talk to you. He's got one. Half of y'all are on child support with a bitch that you own. You don't even remember her name until after she had the baby. He's got one. He's got one. So don't be mad, don't be upset, don't be sad for him. Because if he wanted to be out of that situation, he's Will Smith. He's Will Smith. He wouldn't be single for 2 days. He wouldn't be single for 45 minutes. He's with her because obviously he wants to be. And that's all we should really give a fuck about. That slap, you deserved it. You spoke about something that was sacred. Regardless of the shenanigans and all of the bullshit and the entanglements, that is still that man's wife. End of story. And if some of y'all don't understand that, it goes to show that 1, you're either not married, 2, you've never really been in love with somebody, or 3, you just genuinely don't fuck with black women. And if you fall under any of those categories, I truly feel bad for you. Do better. Be better. Comedy can be funny without attacking marginalized groups of people. Comedy can be funny without using black women as a super negative punchline. And comedy can be funny without trying to get sympathy for something that you know that you were dead ass wrong about. Otherwise, leave that shit at the crib. Leave it home. Overall, I give Chris Rock's special a 0 out of 10. I genuinely did not find it funny. Despite my gripes with the way that he treated or talked about Will and Jada, I just genuinely didn't find it funny. It was not funny. I fell asleep. Like, I could not keep my eyes open for that shit. It was dumb. It just was not the vibe. It felt forced. It felt really, it felt real Sambo-ish. It did not feel like this thing. He kept making all of these weird ass facial expressions, thinking that they were funny. He kept like jigging across the shade. Like it just was not a thing for me. It gave shuck and jive, and I'm not really a fan of shuck and jive comedy. So that's just my thoughts. Y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think. Do y'all think that, you know, he was well within his right to have an opinion and that he didn't say anything wrong? Let me know if y'all think that Sommore really didn't go as hard as she possibly could have. Y'all let me know if y'all think I should just shut the fuck up about these things. Let me know y'all thoughts and stuff down in the comments. And like I say, this time and every time, peace, love, and hope, and I will see y'all on the next one. Bye, everybody.